And this is just with 1 month of using GO2 Max, and he only started at 1 pill, then 2, and then 3. Coach Greg, in today's video, we're going over the results of GO2 Max for an athlete. We all know just how effective it is for the average Joe, especially people getting older. But what does it do for someone who's a high-performance athlete? For example, swimmers, runners, cyclists, perhaps you're competing in mixed martial arts or boxing. And so Camber Fitness put GO2 Max to the test. And he began skeptical, thinking, yeah, probably not going to work. I'm an athlete. Yeah, sure, it'll help those old geezers out there with declining NAD+ levels, but what'll it do for me? And will it in fact be noticeable? And so in comparison to other reviews where people just say, yeah, I felt more energy, I felt better, I did better, I recovered faster, he has quantifiable results. Numbers that quantify exactly how much it improved him in the real world. And so let's get right into it.
I was a bit skeptical of whether it would actually work, but my swimming performance increased by over 14% over the past month.
14% improvement in a month. Now remember, in the studies involving the walking test scores, double-blind, placebo-controlled human studies, they improved their walking performance by 50%. But of course, athletes, they're not going to go 50% faster. That is ridiculous. But this guy, who's been swimming for years, swims for an hour consistently without stopping, he improved by 14% in a month. And to make this even more impressive, he did so while being in a calorie deficit. The guy was literally dieting for a bodybuilding competition and had so much energy, was setting PRs every single week in his swim. I don't know about you, but when I diet for competition, I have almost no energy. And that's with performance-enhancing drugs. And so the last time I did a competition, I literally had to stop riding my bike. I'd ride the bike halfway and have to turn around thinking, how am I even going to make it back? Your energy zonked. But despite the fact the guy got down to single-digit body fat, was doing an hour of swimming for cardio for his bodybuilding show, he still made improvements in his swim time. Unbelievable.
I have tracked lots of metrics from times, distances, heart rates, and more to give you concrete evidence on how well the supplement actually worked for me.
And so remember, he's giving concrete examples with heart rate, the speed, how far he went, everything. He's not just going to say, yeah, it worked, I had more energy. Well, that's good and all, but these are real-world stats which he proves how effective GO2 Max really is.
I've had a goal to work up to being able to swim 2 miles or about 3,500 yards in an hour, but I got stuck around 3,050 yards or 122 laps.
And so he's been swimming for years and has plateaued at being able to swim 3.05 kilometers in 60 minutes. That is very fast. Remember, I was on a swim team and competed in triathlons for years, and I don't believe I could swim 3 kilometers in an hour. Well, maybe. And so very respectable swim times. And this guy is a competitive bodybuilder. And remember, bodybuilders have a lot of muscle. Muscle is more dense than water, not buoyant. It's not going to float. And so you sink. And so he's constantly fighting gravity. The leaner he's getting, the less energy he's going to have, and the more his body is going to want to sink. But despite all of this, and despite the fact that he had plateaued, he then improved by 14% by using GO2 Max. Had he have said 4%, I would have said absolutely amazing. Had he even have said I didn't lose any speed, I would have been impressed. I've never done a bodybuilding contest in my life, and I've done 59 shows where I improved my cardio towards the show. The last month before competition, you have almost no energy, and you're lucky to get through your workout. Run? Are you kidding? I can barely walk. Swim? Who's swimming to prepare for a bodybuilding show? Well, I once did. I was on the swim team, and my coach kept asking me, what is wrong with you? How come your times keep slowing down? And I'd say, well, I'm competing at the National Bodybuilding Championships, and I leave tomorrow. And so imagine being a competitive swimmer and dieting for a National Bodybuilding Championships all at the same time. Well, I did it. And so I know just how difficult this is. And no, back then there was no GO2 Max. And yes, I was 100% natural. I wasn't even taking caffeine.
And for full transparency, I am affiliated with Harder Than Last Time Supplements, which is Greg's supplement line, but I have not been paid to say any of this, and I bought my own bottles of GO2 Max.
And remember, for full transparency, he's saying I'm affiliated with them. He's not a sponsored athlete. What affiliated means is he has a discount code, and so if you do in fact use his discount code, you will get 10% off. I didn't send them this. I didn't say you should make this video. I never talked to the guy. And so he bought the supplements on his own with his own money and decided to make his video.
When starting this experiment, I wanted to make sure that I kept as many variables as possible the same.
And so he kept all variables the same breakfast, the same pre-workout, the same time of day to swim, the same pool. So he did a very great job of not changing any of the variables.
Although one caveat to bring up here is that I was prepping for my first bodybuilding show. So I was getting about 1 to 1.5 pounds lighter each week, which could have contributed to my increase in distance.
And in fact, it would have contributed to the exact opposite. When you're dieting for a bodybuilding competition and getting leaner, lower body fat levels, you're actually going to sink more. Swimmers' ideal body fat percentage, it's not single digits. The majority of swimmers have double-digit body fat levels despite the fact they're burning off a ton of calories. But more important than your weight is that when you're dieting down to single-digit body fat, you may in fact have lower testosterone levels. That, coupled with the fact you're in a calorie deficit and have less energy, less glycogen stores and so on, it's going to make it much more difficult to continue to swim. And to swim for an hour consistently and setting PRs, that is hard. Most people preferring for shows, they're walking, perhaps riding a bike at a slow pace, perhaps zone 2. He's quite literally in zone 4 and zone 3, performing cardio harder than last time.
And for this test, I did 2 swims using 1 capsule, 2 more swims using 2 capsules, 2 swims using 3 capsules, and then 1 final swim with no GO2 max supplementation.
And so he began by using only 1 capsule to see what that would do before moving on to 2 capsules and then finally 3. Me personally, I'm taking 3 capsules a day. That is for the elite level athletes, those looking to get the most possible performance out of GO2 max. The max performance. And remember, GO2 is a playoff VO2, and what you're going to experience if you take GO2 max is an improved VO2 max. You'll be able to perform at a higher output. You'll be able to go harder for longer, therefore burning more calories. And if you're in the gym lifting weights, you'll notice an enhanced recovery between sets. You'll have more energy, you'll feel better, and it will not negatively impact your sleep. There are no known negative side effects, and NMN, which is the main ingredient, has been researched and with double-blind, placebo-controlled human studies has been shown to have significant improvements in cardiovascular ability in the real world. Not just in elderly people, in young people, athletes, sedentary, obese.
On my first day with 1 capsule, I increased my distance to 129 laps, which is a 5.7% increase in my distance swam over the baseline.
And so you're saying, oh, it's the placebo effect. He bought the supplement, he heard me say that it works, and so because he believes in it, he just swam harder. His heart rate was within 1 beat per minute of his previous best. If there was in fact the placebo effect and he was just swimming harder, pushing faster, his heart rate would have gone up. Does that not make sense? Can everyone understand that? If your heart rate is 149 and you take a pill, placebo effect, and you go twice as hard, instead of having a heart rate of 149, perhaps it's 159. That would explain it. But in this case, there was no real change in heart rate, but yet he swam faster. You getting it now? Can you see that it actually works?
I had to go out of town for work for 8 days and didn't have access to a pool, so I figured my performance would probably decrease some when I got back.
And then he had to travel and took 8 days off. He hadn't swam in 8 days. And so think of it. If you're a cardio athlete and you just suddenly take 8 days off of swimming and you go back to the pool, would you not expect to swim slower? 8 days off, but yet he swam the same distance after taking 8 days of doing nothing than he had done previously. Imagine the improvements if he had continued to train.
Moving on to my first swim with 2 capsules, I was able to increase by 2 more laps to get 131 laps. That makes for a 1.5% increase over my performance using 1 capsule.
And so with 2 capsules, he's already 7.5% ahead of where he was at baseline. And so considering the fact he hadn't been training enough but was continuing to improve, that speaks very highly of the effects of GO2 max.
On my second swim with 2 capsules by getting 134 laps or 3,350 yards in just under an hour.
And his next swim with 2 capsules of GO2 max, again, a noticeable improvement. He's swimming faster and further than last time.
So now we'll move on to the top dose of 3 capsules, and this is where things start to get crazy.
And so with 3 capsules, he then swam the same distance that he had prior. But when he looked at his heart rate metrics, that's when it made a huge difference. In the first swim, he had spent 13 minutes in zone 4. Zone 4 is very hard cardio. But with 3 capsules, he only spent 4 seconds, not minutes, in zone 4. And so although he swam the same speed, it was much easier with 3 capsules than with 2. And so what does this mean for the viewer at home? For example, yourself. Well, what it means is that if you take GO2 max and you perform the exact cardio you're doing right now, it's going to feel easier. You're perhaps exercising at zone 4, but now it's zone 3. If you're exercising in zone 3, perhaps now it's zone 2. It feels easier. And so if you choose, you could bump up the pace, progressive overload, and train harder than last time. You could burn more calories, go further distance in the same period of time, or because you have more energy, you could go longer.
At about 30 minutes and 30 seconds, so I didn't quite make it, but check out the average heart rate metrics.
And so for his last swim with 3 capsules, he swam for 30 minutes rather than 60 as it was peak week. He's literally prepping for a bodybuilding show. I mean, if that's not impressive enough. His average heart rate, remember it was 149? Well, this time it was 141. And so it was significantly easier despite the fact that he swam further than he did in the past. And this is just with 1 month of using GO2 Max. And he only started at 1 pill, then 2, and then 3.
For swimming for an hour, I was able to hit 129 laps. So my performance decreased by 3.7% when going from 3 capsules of GO2 Max to none.
And so think of it. He then competes in the bodybuilding competition. He's on stage, going through the poses, looking fantastic. And then he swims with no GO2 Max. Because remember, if you take certain things like Ozempic, you have to rely on that for the rest of your life. But with GO2 Max, you can use it, you can not use it, it's okay. And so if you do purchase GO2 Max and then you stop using it, you're not going to lose all of your gains. And so with no GO2 Max, he had decreased his performance by 3.7%. But remember, he'd gone up by over 14%. So even with the decrease of 3+%, he's still 10% better than before. And so regardless of the metrics, no matter how you look at this, GO2 Max clearly a success for Camber Fitness.
You have to be pushing yourself. I wouldn't buy this if you don't like cardio and you're just doing it to try to make the cardio sessions that you feel like you have to do even easier.
And so his suggestion, don't buy it if you don't plan to push your cardio. It allows you to push harder than last time. So if you're just going for a walk and you don't care and you take GO2 Max, you're just going for a walk. Are you really going to notice it? I don't know. But if you're somebody that likes to push hard and you want improved cardiovascular endurance, or you fatigue after 30 minutes and you want to go longer, well, this may in fact be the #1 supplement that anyone could recommend to you.
Because I don't look at cardio as something I need to do to lose weight or keep it off. I could easily eat more lower calorie foods, but I want to keep my heart as healthy as possible.
So if you're like Camber Fitness or you're like me and you understand that cardio, the heart, is the most important muscle in the human body, then GO2 Max, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's going to improve your heart health, has no known negative side effects. And NMN, it's actually in food, just like creatine. It's just not in high enough quantities to be of benefit. And so it's not some scary drug invented in a lab that has negative side effects. It's not banned by WADA. You can use it in drug-tested sporting competition. And remember, no known negative side effects. Think of it. Many of the drugs that we're using right now, caffeine, for example, yeah, caffeine's a drug, has way more potential for harm than NMN could ever have. Yet, how many of you are out there drinking coffee? And I'm not saying don't have coffee. I'm not saying you can't drink pre-workout. But NMN, to me, clearly even safer than a cup of coffee.
FDA approval means absolutely nothing to me anymore. I have learned to just do my own research and come to logical conclusions based on actual evidence.
Exactly. Do you realize that the FDA had banned NAC? NAC, it was banned. I didn't even put it in my liver support because they're saying, oh, it's going to be banned. You won't be able to sell it. And so although NMN is banned on Amazon right now, they may in fact rescind it. They might come to their senses and realize this is not some dangerous drug. Why can't we just sell it? And so you can't get it on Amazon, but if you wish to purchase, head over to my website, code Greg, 10% off. Click the link in the description. And so please go and check out the original video. Give him a follow. He has close to 3,000 followers. Let's get him higher than last time. His name is Camber Fitness. Video is titled, I tried GO2 Max and was shocked by the results. He writes, I was definitely impressed and surprised by the results as well, because I wasn't expecting much of a change in my performance going into it. And so there you have it. He went from being a skeptic, thinking, it probably isn't going to work, to having a 14% improvement in his swim distance for an hour. And check out the guy's physique. Looks incredible. Highly suggest you go and give his channel a follow. Ending it here. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Don't forget to watch one of those 2 bloops. And of course, the brand new Cookbook 3.0. You can get that by clicking the link in the description, as well as the training books, the Circle Diet Book, the Harder Than Last Time clothing line. We got the tank tops, hoodies, jogging pants, shorts, t-shirts, all of it's there. And until next time, I am out.